Things to discuss and practice with your instructor. These are just a few examples. Section 4. Safety margins. In this section, you'll learn about keeping yourself and others safe by staying within safety margins, stopping, thinking and braking distances, risks caused by different weather conditions and road surfaces, the risk of skidding, contraflow systems. Section 4. Safety margins. In this section, you'll learn about keeping yourself and others safe by staying within safety margins, stopping, thinking and braking distances, risks caused by different weather conditions and road surfaces, the risk of skidding, contraflow systems. Safety margins. Self-reflection point. Your personal safety margin is the space you maintain around your vehicle. Think about your personal safety margin the next time you drive. Are you getting too close to other vehicles? It's essential that you always keep in mind your safety, and that of your passengers and other road users, as you're driving. You can reduce your chances of being involved in an incident on the road by knowing the safety margins and what can happen if you don't drive within them. Never take risks. Keep control of your car by using the correct procedures. For instance, when you're traveling on a long downhill stretch of road, control your speed by selecting a lower gear and using your brakes carefully. Excessive braking on hills can cause your brakes to overheat and become less effective. Don't coast. This means traveling in neutral or with the clutch disengaged, pressed down, as this can reduce your control over the car. Stopping distance. Leave enough room between your vehicle and the one in front, so that you can pull up safely if it slows down, or stops suddenly. Your overall stopping distance is the distance your car travels from the moment that you realize you must brake, to the moment your car stops. Thinking distance. Distance traveled in the time it takes to react to a situation. Plus. Braking distance. Distance traveled from when you start to use the brakes to when your car completely stops. Equals. Stopping distance. In typical stopping distances. Look at the typical stopping,
thinking and braking distances given in the official highway code.
Remember that these are based on vehicles traveling with good tires and brakes on a dry road in good conditions.
I'm Chloe from the Anyways Essex, and I'm from Essex.
My name's Matthew Wolfenden. I am an actor in Emmerdale.
We're going to be doing brake avoidance, so emergency lane change, so simulating a vehicle stopping in front of you suddenly or somebody stepping out in front of you to see just how quick the volunteers' reactions are in that simulated situation.
Have I got good reactions to this test? I don't know, let's see. I've never done anything like this before, so yeah, I think so. I'd like to think so anyway, let's see, we'll see.
I think today, obviously, we're doing an experiment, so I'm going to be more aware and concentrating on exactly what I'm doing, but I think in everyday life, when you've got other things on your mind, it could be slightly different to this, so we'll see, I don't know, we'll see.
Chloe, you can see those lights in the distance. So imagine they're side lights of a car, yeah?
Yeah.
So we're going to approach there, and at some point, the brake lights are going to appear on it, okay? And it's at that point that you stop, yeah? Mm-hmm. And then we're going to do a brake and avoid. So you brake and steer at the same time, yeah? So you're going to if that right-hand indicator was on there, you're going to steer to the left. And if the left-hand indicator's on like that, you're going to steer to the right. Yeah, okay. So the opposite side of the indicator. Yeah. Try and just maintain
just 30, around 30.
Yeah, which is very harder than you think.
Just gonna hold on with two hands like a proper driver. There we go. Right. Okay. Just over 32, 31. Okay, that's about right. There we go. Bang on.
Concentrate on that. So straight line braking. Cool.
Okay.
Back off a bit. A little bit of throttle in. That's it. Now just concentrate on the lights.
Yeah.
Good. See how much faster that feels?
Yeah.
It's like 5 miles an hour. A bit faster. Good. But yeah, 35.
35 we're going at now.
Yep. Yeah, that's quite a distance actually.
Surprising, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let me get comfortable on the pedal.
Okay,
So
right.
bloody
Brake
missed
and
it.
avoid. Concentrate.
God.
Go on, turn. Cool.
Anything else?
No.
48. 60. Look at that. I can't get my foot down any further. Holy moly. That's a heck of a distance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whew.
I was absolutely petrified. I didn't want to do the 60. I felt like I was going really, really fast, and I felt like I was going to hit the lights. So as soon as I see them, before they'd even like started to brake, I wanted to brake. So it was pretty scary.
I said before, I thought it might open my eyes to it a little bit. Wow, unbelievable the difference from going, first of all, from going from 30 to 60, and the not only your reaction time, but the time that it then took the car to stop. Was like, I thought I wasn't putting my foot on the brake hard enough because of the distance it was taking to stop, but that it shocked me. That really, honestly shocked me.
The skill is always being able to stop in the distance you can see to be clear ahead of you. And you know, as an example, if you're travelling too close to the car in front of you, obviously, you know, your reaction time is going to be affected, and you may not have the time to react. So you need to be able to stop in the distance you can see to be clear.
I think you need to be quite a confident driver to be prepared to take that on anyway, because that chance is always there, isn't it, that you're going to have to do one of them stops. So if you're not that confident, don't drive that fast.
There's no skill in driving fast. Anyone can drive fast. You stick the pedal to the ground and you go. The skill is in stopping and your reactions to stopping, your reactions to the cars around you as well. So you've definitely got to ask yourself, how fast can I stop?
Don't just learn the stopping distance figures, you need to be able to judge the distance when you're driving. Tip: in good conditions, leave a 2-second gap between your car and the vehicle in front. Use a fixed point, like a road sign, to measure the time gap between your vehicle and the one in front. You can measure 2 seconds by saying the sentence "Only a fool breaks the 2-second rule."
Keeping a safe distance from the vehicle in front will help to lower your risk of having a collision. If someone overtakes you and pulls into the gap in front, drop back to keep a safe distance from them. Select each icon below for more information.
Bright sunlight.
Rain.
Nice. The conditions are good and dry. When should you use the 2-second rule? Select the correct answer. Before restarting the engine after it has stalled. When checking your gap from the vehicle in front. Before using the mirrors, signal, maneuver routine. When traffic lights change to green. In good, dry conditions, leave a 2-second gap. In good conditions, the 2-second rule can be used to check the distance between your vehicle and the one in front. This technique works on roads carrying faster traffic. Choose a fixed object, such as a bridge, sign, or tree. When the vehicle ahead passes this object, say to yourself "Only a fool breaks the 2-second rule." If you reach the object before you finish saying this, you're too close. In good, dry conditions, leave a 2-second gap. In good conditions, the 2-second rule can be used to check the distance between your vehicle and the one in front. This technique works on roads carrying faster traffic. Choose a fixed object, such as a bridge, sign, or tree. When the vehicle ahead passes this object, say to yourself "Only a fool breaks the 2-second rule." If you reach the object before you finish saying this, you're too close.
What's the minimum time gap you should leave when following a vehicle on a wet road? Select the correct answer. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds. In wet weather, leave a 4-second gap. Water will reduce your tire's grip on the road. The safe separation gap of at least 2 seconds in dry conditions should be doubled to at least 4 seconds in wet weather. How much can stopping distances increase in icy conditions? Select the correct answer. 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times. See weather, leave a 20-second gap. Tire grip is greatly reduced in icy conditions. For this reason, you need to allow up to 10 times the stopping distance you would allow on dry roads. Weather conditions. Weather conditions have a major effect on your safety margins. If there's bad weather, such as snow, ice or thick fog, think about whether you really need to make your journey. Never underestimate the dangers. Weather. Actions to take. Heavy rain. When there's heavy rainfall, water can collect on the road surface and may cause aquaplaning. This is where the tires lift off the road surface and skate on a film of water. The steering becomes light. If this happens, ease off the accelerator. Don't brake until your steering feels normal again. If you've driven through deep water, such as a ford or a flood, test your brakes. You may need to dry them out by pressing lightly on the brake pedal as you drive. Freezing. Freezing conditions can make roads very slippery, which will make your car harder to control. Before starting a journey, clear ice and snow from your windows, lights, mirrors and number plates. When driving, keep your speed down. Brake gently and in plenty of time. Be prepared to stop and clean snow from your windscreen by hand if the wipers can't keep it clear. Hot and/or bright. Hot weather can also be dangerous. The road surface can become soft. This could affect your braking and steering. Bright sunlight can dazzle. Other drivers might not be able to see your indicators flashing. Give an arm signal if you think it will be helpful. Foggy. Fog reduces your visibility. Remember to allow more time for your journey. Slow down, because you can't see as far ahead as usual. Increase the gap between your vehicle and the one in front of you. Use dipped headlights, even in daylight. If visibility falls below 100 meters, 328 feet, use fog lights if you've got them. You must switch them off when the fog lifts. Windy. High winds can blow you off course, especially on an open stretch of road. They have an even greater effect on high-sided vehicles. Vehicles towing trailers or caravans. Motorcyclists. Cyclists. Take care and allow extra room if you pass these road users, as they may be blown off course by a sudden gust of wind. Check your left side as you pass them. Skidding. Skidding is when the tires lose grip on the road, and it's caused by the driver. Road surface and tire conditions can increase the risk of skidding, but skids are the result of how the driver controls acceleration, braking, speed and steering.
There's a greater risk of skidding in wet or icy conditions. Black ice can be a hazard in very cold weather, and it isn't obvious until you feel the steering becoming light.
To reduce the risk of skidding in slippery conditions, drive
at a low speed. In the highest gear you can use effectively.
Drivers of vehicles equipped with anti-skid technology should refer to the vehicle handbook for the manufacturer's advice on getting the best out of its anti-skid system. To reduce the risk of skidding, scan the road ahead for clues such as road signs and markings.
You can then plan your driving so that you can slow down gradually before you reach a hazard, such as a bend.
Avoid sudden steering movements.
Anti-lock braking systems.
An anti-lock braking system, ABS, is designed to prevent skidding caused by excessive braking.
Will speed sensors anticipate when a wheel is about to lock, which could lead to skidding?
If you have to brake suddenly when you're driving a vehicle with ABS, press the foot brake quickly and firmly. Don't release the brake pedal until your vehicle has stopped. ABS doesn't necessarily reduce your stopping distance, but you can keep steering while braking because the wheels are prevented from locking. It may not work as well if there's surface water, such as when there's been heavy rainfall. A loose road surface, such as gravel.
Tip: ABS will help prevent skidding caused by braking too hard for the conditions. It won't reduce your car's stopping distance. Anti-lock braking systems.
An anti-lock braking system, ABS, is designed to prevent skidding caused by excessive braking.
Will speed sensors anticipate when a wheel is about to lock, which could lead to skidding?
If you have to brake suddenly when you're driving a vehicle with ABS, press the foot brake quickly and firmly. Don't release the brake pedal until your vehicle has stopped. ABS doesn't necessarily reduce your stopping distance, but you can keep steering while braking because the wheels are prevented from locking. It may not work as well if there's surface water, such as when there's been heavy rainfall. A loose road surface, such as gravel.
Tip: ABS will help prevent skidding caused by braking too hard for the conditions. It won't reduce your car's stopping distance. Anti-skid technology.
Electronic Stability Control (ESC) is a computer-controlled system that combines the functions of ABS and traction control.
It detects loss of traction and automatically makes corrective adjustments to prevent loss of control. When the system operates, the driver may be unaware of how close the car is to its handling limits.
To alert the driver, the ESC indicator lamp will flash on when the ESC operates. ESC can't overcome the laws of physics. If the driver is traveling too fast, there's a risk of losing control. ESC is fitted to all new cars sold in the EU, but some manufacturers give it a different name, for example, Electronic Stability Program, ESP registered.
Contraflow systems. Definition: contraflow system, where one or more lanes have a direction of traffic against that of the rest of the carriageway. When you enter a contraflow system, you should reduce your speed in good time.
Choose a suitable lane in good time. Look for signs advising you to use a particular lane if you want to take an exit that will be coming up soon, or if you have a wide vehicle.
Keep a safe distance behind the vehicle in front.
Meeting the standards.
You must be able to keep a safe distance from the vehicle in front. Use the accelerator and brakes correctly to regulate your speed. Bring the vehicle to a stop safely.
Always use a safe, systematic approach to keep you and other road users safe. For example, mirrors, signal, maneuver, position, speed, look.
You must know and understand the importance of keeping a safe separation distance in all weather and traffic conditions. About skidding. Why a skid may occur. How to avoid skids. How to correct them if they do occur. The distance that a vehicle needs to stop. From different speeds. In different road conditions. In different weather conditions. How traffic and weather conditions may affect other road users and what to do. For example, their visibility may be reduced. Think about.
What are typical stopping distances and how do wet or icy roads affect them?
What extra considerations or precautions might you need to take if the weather is snowy or icy, wet, foggy, hot, bright and dazzling,
windy? Does the car you're driving have ABS?
How can you reduce the risk of skidding and what should you do if you start to skid? Picture yourself entering a contraflow system. What actions can you take to reduce risk? Think about.
What are typical stopping distances and how do wet or icy roads affect them?
What extra considerations or precautions might you need to take if the weather is snowy or icy, wet, foggy, hot, bright and dazzling,
windy? Does the car you're driving have ABS?
How can you reduce the risk of skidding and what should you do if you start to skid? Picture yourself entering a contraflow system. What actions can you take to reduce risk? Things to discuss and practice with your instructor. These are just a few examples of what you could discuss and practice with your instructor.
Read more about safety margins to come up with your own ideas.
Discuss with your instructor the causes of skidding and how to avoid it.
How to use your brakes and gears in snowy and icy weather. Stopping distances on dry, wet and icy roads.
Practice with your instructor. Driving in different weather conditions to practice vehicle handling.
Driving up and down steep hills to practice your gear selection and control of the brakes.
Driving through a ford to see how it will affect your brakes. You're driving along a wet road.
How can you tell if your vehicle's tires are losing their grip on the surface?
The engine will stall, the steering will feel very heavy, the engine noise will increase, the steering will feel very light.
If you drive at speed in very wet conditions, your steering may suddenly feel lighter than usual. This means that the tires have lifted off the surface of the road and are floating on the surface of the water. This is known as aquaplaning. Reduce speed but don't brake until your steering returns to normal.
What should you do before starting a journey in foggy weather?
Wear a high visibility jacket, have a caffeinated drink, allow more time, reduce your tire pressures.
Don't venture out if your journey isn't necessary. If you have to travel and someone is expecting you at the other end, let them know that you'll be taking longer than usual for your journey. This will stop them worrying if you don't turn up on time and will also take the pressure off you, so you don't feel you have to rush.
How can you avoid wheel spin when you're driving on an icy road? Drive at a slow speed in the highest gear possible.
Use the parking brake if the wheels start to slip. Brake gently and repeatedly.
Drive in a low gear at all times.
If you're traveling on an icy road, extra caution will be required to avoid loss of control. Keeping your speed down and using the highest gear possible will reduce the risk of the tires losing their grip on this slippery surface.
What will help you to move off on a snowy surface?
Using the car's lowest gear, using a higher gear than normal, using a high engine speed, using the parking brake and foot brake together.
If you attempt to move off in a low gear, there'll be more torque, turning force, at the driven wheels than if you use a higher gear. More torque makes it easier for the tires to lose grip and so spin the wheels.
What does it mean if the electronic stability control (ESC) indicator lamp lights up while you're driving?
The ESC system has activated.
The ESC system has a fault. The ESC system is running a routine test. The ESC system is switched off.
ESC is a computer-controlled technology that detects reduced traction and automatically makes corrective adjustments to prevent loss of control. The ESC lamp comes on to alert the driver that the system has activated and the car is approaching its handling limits. It's a powerful driver aid, but it cannot save a car once its traction limits have been exceeded.
How should you use anti-lock brakes when you need to stop in an emergency?
Keep pumping the foot brake to prevent skidding. Brake normally but grip the steering wheel tightly.
Brake promptly and firmly until you've stopped.
Apply the parking brake to reduce the stopping distance.
If you have ABS and need to stop in an emergency, keep your foot firmly on the brake pedal until the vehicle has stopped. When the ABS operates, you may hear a grating sound and feel vibration through the brake pedal. This is normal and you should maintain pressure on the brake pedal until the vehicle stops.
What lights should you use when you're driving on a wet motorway and vehicles are throwing up surface spray?
Hazard warning lights.
Dipped headlights. Rear fog lights. Side lights.
When surface spray reduces visibility, switch on your headlights on dipped beam. This will help other road users to see you.
You're driving on an open road in dry weather. What distance should you keep from the vehicle in front? A 2-second time gap, 1 car length, 2 meters, 6 feet 6 inches, 2 car lengths.
One way of checking there's a safe distance between you and the vehicle in front is to use the 2-second rule. To check for a 2-second time gap, choose a stationary object ahead, such as a bridge or road sign. When the car in front passes the object, say only a fool breaks the 2-second rule. If you reach the object before you finish saying the phrase, you're too close and need to increase the gap.
How much can stopping distances increase in icy conditions?
2 times, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times.
Tire grip is greatly reduced in icy conditions. For this reason, you need to allow up to 10 times the stopping distance you would allow on dry roads.
What requires extra care when you're driving or riding in windy conditions?
Using the brakes, moving off on a hill, turning into a narrow road, passing pedal cyclists.
Always give cyclists plenty of room when overtaking them. You need to give them even more room when it's windy. A sudden gust could easily blow them off course and into your path.
You're traveling on the motorway. How can you lower the risk of a collision when the vehicle behind is following too closely? Increase your distance from the vehicle in front, brake sharply, switch on your hazard warning lights, move onto the hard shoulder and stop.
On busy roads, traffic may still travel at high speeds. Don't follow the vehicle in front too closely. If a driver behind seems to be pushing you, gradually increase your distance from the vehicle in front by slowing down gently. This will give you more space in front if you have to brake, and will reduce the risk of a collision involving several vehicles.
Why should you keep well to the left as you approach a right-hand bend? To improve your view of the road, to overcome the effect of the road's slope, to let faster traffic from behind overtake, to be positioned safely if you skid.
Keeping to the left as you approach right-hand bends will give you an earlier view around the bend and enable you to see any hazards sooner. It also reduces the risk of collision with any oncoming vehicle that may have drifted over the center line while taking the bend.
You're driving a vehicle that has anti-lock brakes.
How should you apply the foot brake when you need to stop in an emergency?
Slowly and gently. Slowly but firmly. Rapidly and gently. Rapidly and firmly.
You may have to stop in an emergency due to a misjudgment by another driver or a hazard arising suddenly, such as a child running out into the road. If your vehicle has anti-lock brakes, you should apply the brakes immediately and keep them firmly applied until you stop. You may have to stop in an emergency due to a misjudgment by another driver or a hazard arising suddenly, such as a child running out into the road. If your vehicle has anti-lock brakes, you should apply the brakes immediately and keep them firmly applied until you stop.
What will be affected if the road surface becomes soft in very hot weather?
The suspension, the exhaust emissions, the fuel consumption, the tire grip.
If the road surface becomes very hot, it can soften. Tires are unable to grip a soft surface as well as they can a firm dry one. Take care when cornering and braking.
What should you do when you're overtaking a motorcyclist on a windy day?
Pass closely, pass very slowly, pass widely, pass immediately.
In strong winds, riders of two-wheeled vehicles are particularly vulnerable. When you overtake them, allow plenty of room. Check to the left as you pass to make sure they're safe.
You're driving in freezing conditions. What should you do as you approach a sharp bend? Coast into the bend. Apply your parking brake.
Firmly use your foot brake.
Slow down gently.
Harsh use of the accelerator, brakes or steering is likely to lead to skidding, especially on slippery surfaces. Avoid steering and braking at the same time. In icy conditions, it's very important that you constantly assess what's ahead, so that you can take appropriate action in plenty of time.
What should you do when you're driving in snowy conditions?
Brake firmly and quickly. Be ready to steer sharply. Use side lights only.
Brake gently in plenty of time.
In snowy conditions, be careful with the steering, accelerator and brakes. Braking sharply while you're driving on snow is likely to make your car skid.
You're about to go down a steep hill.
What should you do to control the speed of your vehicle?
Select a high gear and use the brakes carefully. Select a high gear and use the brakes firmly. Select a low gear and use the brakes carefully. Select a low gear and avoid using the brakes.
When driving down a steep hill, gravity will cause your vehicle to speed up. This will make it more difficult for you to stop. To help keep your vehicle's speed under control, select a lower gear to give you more engine braking and make careful use of the brakes.
You've just gone through flood water. What should you do to make sure your brakes are working properly?
Accelerate and keep to a high speed for a short time.
Go slowly while gently applying the brakes. Avoid using the brakes at all for a few miles. Stop for at least an hour to allow them time to dry.
Water on the brakes will act as a lubricant, causing them to work less efficiently. Using the brakes lightly as you go along will quickly dry them out.
You're driving along a country road. You see this sign.
What should you do after dealing safely with the hazard?
Check your tire pressures, switch on your hazard warning lights, accelerate briskly, test your brakes.
If your brakes have been thoroughly soaked, you should check that they're working properly before you build up speed again. Before you do this, remember to check your mirrors and consider what's behind you.
How can you use your vehicle's engine as a brake? By changing to a lower gear, by selecting reverse gear, by changing to a higher gear, by selecting neutral gear.
When driving on downhill stretches of road, selecting a lower gear gives increased engine braking. This will prevent excessive use of the brakes, which become less effective if they overheat.
What should you do when you're using a contraflow system? Choose an appropriate lane in good time.
Switch lanes to make better progress.
Increase speed to get through the contraflow more quickly.
Follow other motorists closely to avoid long queues.
In a contraflow system, you'll be traveling close to oncoming traffic and sometimes in narrow lanes. You should get into the correct lane in good time, obey any temporary speed limit signs and keep a safe separation distance from the vehicle ahead.
You're driving in a built-up area that has traffic calming measures. What should you do when you approach a road hump? Move across to the left-hand side of the road. Wait for any pedestrians to cross. Check your mirror and slow down. Stop and check both pavements.
Many towns have road humps as part of traffic calming measures, designed to slow down traffic. Reduce your speed when driving over them. If you go too fast, you could lose control or damage your car. Look out for pedestrians or cyclists while you're driving in these areas.
In which conditions will your overall stopping distance increase?
In the rain,
In fog,
at night,
in strong winds.
Extra care should be taken in wet weather. On wet roads, your stopping distance could be double that in dry conditions.
You're about to start a journey in freezing weather.
What part of your vehicle should you clear of ice and snow?
The aerial, the windows, the bumper, the boot.
Driving in bad weather increases your risk of having a collision. If you absolutely have to travel, clear your lights, mirrors, number plates and windows of any snow or ice, so that you can see and be seen.
Where is your vehicle most likely to be affected by side winds?
On a narrow country lane, on an open stretch of road, on a busy stretch of road, on a long, straight road.
In windy conditions, care must be taken on exposed roads. A strong gust of wind can blow you off course. Watch out for other road users who are particularly likely to be affected, such as cyclists, motorcyclists, high-sided lorries and vehicles towing trailers.
You're following other vehicles in fog. You have your headlights on dipped beam.
What else can you do to reduce the chances of being in a collision?
Keep close to the vehicle in front. Use main beam instead of dipped headlights. Keep up with the faster vehicles. Keep a safe distance from the vehicle in front.
When it's foggy, use your headlights on dipped beam. This will help you see, and be seen by other road users. If visibility is seriously reduced, consider using front and rear fog lights if you have them. Keep to a sensible speed and don't follow the vehicle in front too closely. If the road is wet and slippery, you'll need to allow twice the normal stopping distance.
What's the main cause of skidding? The weather, the driver, the vehicle, the road.
Skidding is usually caused by driver error. You should always adjust your driving to take account of the road and weather conditions.
What's the main benefit of driving a four-wheel drive vehicle?
Improved grip on the road, lower fuel consumption, shorter stopping distances, improved passenger comfort.
By driving all four wheels, the vehicle has maximum grip on the road. This grip is especially helpful when traveling on slippery or uneven surfaces. However, having four-wheel drive doesn't replace the skills you need to drive safely.
You're following a vehicle on a wet road. You stay a safe distance behind it. What should you do if a driver overtakes you and pulls into the gap you've left? Flash your headlights as a warning.
Try to overtake safely as soon as you can.
Drop back to regain a safe distance.
Stay close to the other vehicle until it moves on.
Wet weather will affect the time it takes for you to stop and can affect your control. Your speed should allow you to stop safely and in good time. If another vehicle pulls into the gap you've allowed, ease back until you've regained your stopping distance.
On what type of road surface may anti-lock brakes be ineffective?
Dry,
Loose, firm.
smooth.
Poor contact with the road surface could cause one or more of the tires to lose grip on the road. This is more likely to happen when braking in poor weather conditions and when the road has a loose, slippery or uneven surface.
What can result when you travel for long distances in neutral, known as coasting?
Improvement in control.
Easier steering.
Reduction in control. Increased fuel consumption.
Coasting is the term used when the clutch is held down, or the gear lever is in neutral, and the vehicle is allowed to freewheel. This reduces the driver's control of the vehicle. When you coast, the engine can't drive the wheels to stabilize you through a corner, or give the assistance of engine braking to help slow the car.
What should you do when you park a car facing downhill? Turn the steering wheel towards the curb. Park close to the bumper of another car. Park with two wheels on the curb. Turn the steering wheel away from the curb.
Turning the wheels towards the curb will allow them to act as a chock, preventing any forward movement of the vehicle. It will also help to leave your car in gear, or select park if you have an automatic.
What would suggest you're driving on an icy road?
There's less wind noise. There's less tire noise. There's less transmission noise. There's less engine noise.
Drive extremely carefully when the roads are icy. When traveling on ice, tires make virtually no noise and the steering feels light and unresponsive. In